My name's Dharl, and I'm in recovery. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. Sober and clean now 41 years. I would wake up in the morning, and one of the most important things that would happen is that my mind would go to, I wonder if I have some of this or some of this or some of this, searching my pocket, looking around the nasty little apartments that I lived in, for stuff left over in bottles. And I hope I got a couple of beer bottles in the refrigerator. First thing in the morning. I was not much more than a kid.
Right, right.
I really honestly believe that the high incidence around here of overdose deaths, a lot of it is from young men who experience that hopelessness of existence. And they're not dumb. They know that the kinds of things they're getting to use are possibly going to kill them. They know that. And they're not just saying, no, it's not going to be me. Some of them are saying, if it does, it does.
How old were you when you first started experimenting with drugs or alcohol?
Drugs and alcohol, about 12.
Okay. Do you remember how it made you feel?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Made me feel connected and alive and energetic, and made me, well, first it was kind of that connected and alive. And then when I found alcohol, I was probably about 14 or 15. And that made me feel like I had arrived, that I was actually part of something. And I just didn't really care what I believed anybody thought. I didn't, I was very okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it.
No, that explains it pretty well. So did you graduate high school?
I did.
Okay. And then is that when you went into the military?
No, I graduated from high school, went away to college, a smaller school out in southwest Indiana, very good school, had a full ride scholarship.
Wow.
My family was poor. We're farm people. And I had a full ride scholarship, and I managed to drink my way out of that after just about 2 years. Got caught drinking dry school, strict Methodist school, and they pulled my money. They pulled the full ride scholarship off of me. Refused to throw me out. Told me if I could make my own way, I could stay. And of course I couldn't. So I came back home, tail between my legs, very embarrassed, shameful.
Yeah.
So I did what almost all young men did, and that was I went into the Army. I just went into the Army. It was I had no skills to speak of to get a job. I could have gotten a job in steel mill, but I really didn't want to. So I went in the Army. Hated every minute of it. Hated every minute of it. Did not like taking orders. Is that something? Is that like an addict, alcoholic?
Right.
Yeah.
And how long were you in there?
I was in the Army about 2 years.
Okay.
Got into some trouble, mostly from drinking. I never got caught using drugs. Used a lot of drugs. Very available. I was a medic working in a psychiatric hospital.
Oh, wow.
And that was where I got my first introduction to working in psychiatry and a type of recovery anyway. Taught me some very bad lessons. Yeah. Back when I was in the Army, the treatment for alcoholism in the Army at that point in time was up to 24 shock treatments. Yes, they used to give people shock treatments to cure them from alcoholism.
Did it work?
Well, I'm sure it did something. Because it kind of burns the burns the ability of your brain to be able to think straight.
Wow. Look how far we've come.
Yes, we have.
So you get out of the military after 2 years. And then what did you do?
Well, I came back around here, worked on the farm a little bit, got a job in a grocery store. Really disliked that a lot, and ended up. I discovered the gay bars. I was like, oh, I don't know how old I was by then. I must have been 19, maybe going on 20, and. I discovered the gay bars, loved them, and any cute little boy could find a way to get a drink
Right.
in a gay bar. So ended up the guy I befriended the most. He and I decided to go to New York City and get a job in the theater. Well, that actually worked for a while.
Did
We went to New York
it?
City. I got lots of jobs in theaters, but I was always losing them because I would be too drunk to go to work or be high on the job or, just different things like that. The various kinds of really dumb stuff that young kids just do anyway, especially young addicted kids. By then I was in full-blown addiction, full-blown alcoholism.
So were you were using and drinking every day?
Yeah, every day. Every day. It was very, very hard. I don't know that they had a blacklist, but everybody knew me. All the theaters knew me. I mean, I was a hanger-outer, so all the theaters knew me, and they wouldn't hire me. I tried fast food. They didn't have much fast food back then, but I tried restaurant work, and that didn't work out too well. And I ended up basically, for a period of time, maybe 3 or 4 months, I ended up basically being a street boy, living on the streets, doing the kinds of things that street boys do to make enough money to get what a budding young alcoholic addict needs, believes they need. And it was pretty disgusting. It was not very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like at that point it was a little
Demoralized.
right.
Young kid, not wanting to live anymore. That was, thinking back on it, I can't imagine having to be a young person like that, not wanting to live. It's just really hard for me to think back that way.
Yeah. And at this point in New York, did you have any kind of family support? No.
None at all. I wasn't in contact with anybody at all.
Wow. So you felt like you were by yourself.
Well, I pretty much was. My best
Right.
friend that had gone with me had gotten smart and come home. I didn't really know anybody in New York.
Yeah. It's very
Sleeping in subways, sleeping out on the grates above the subway where when the trains came through, they would blow warm air up through the grates, sleeping right on those grates.
wow.
Not for long, but long enough to learn a lesson that that's not what I really wanted to do.
So what was your turning point then?
I don't know that there was any one thing that happened, but I was on just any given day. It just happened that I decided I was going to call my best friend back here and see if he would send me a bus ticket. And I called his house, and his mother answered, and she said, "Well, Ed went into the Air Force," and I said, "Ooh," and she said, "What? Do you need something?" And I said, "Yes, I need a way to get back. I'm living in New York, and I need to get back home." And she said, "I will get you a bus ticket. You go down to, go find out where I need to send, and I will call them and I will take care of it." somehow or other, she must have Western Union them. There's no credit cards or anything back then.
Right.
She must have Western Union them some money, enough money for me to get a bus ticket, and I rode the bus back to Youngstown, Ohio. She came down and picked me up, took me to my grandparents, who could no longer drive. Grandpa was dead by then. Grandmother was blind, and took me out there. And I stayed there off and on for a little while and then moved on.
So, was that your turning point then when you came home, or were you a little bit? Yeah, did it take a little longer?
Just got me home.
Okay.
Got me home. That was all. What happened is that I was managing a gay bar. Managed to get myself up there managing, and met the guy who was to become my partner for the rest of my life, and we got kind of like hoodwinked into moving in together. It was not a plan.
Wow.
It was not a plan. I needed a place to live, and the owner of the bar didn't like the idea that I was sleeping in the back room, and he hooked us up, kind of said, get a place together between the two of you. You got to be able to afford something. And we did. We moved in together, and it was a 6-month deal. These people were going to Florida, and they allowed us to live in their fully loaded home for 6 months while they were in Florida for $100 a month. And that's where our romance began to happen, and we've been together ever since.
That is so beautiful.
57 years. It'll be 58 years in October.
My God.
Yes.
How wonderful.
Yeah, it has been. Most of that has been pretty wonderful. Yeah, I will say that.
So the first couple of years, though, it sounds like you're still in active addiction.
Oh, yeah. The
okay.
first 17 years, we were both in active addiction.
Both of you, okay.
Yes. He has 40 years. He has 40 years sober. So it was tough. It was tough, because, how do you relate to somebody? A relationship's where people relate. How do you relate to someone when you're drunk most of the time, high on drugs half the time? You just don't. Luckily, I had a good work ethic. He had a good work ethic, so we always had jobs. But for 17 years of our first 17 years together, we were both using.
So exactly what were you using?
Mostly amphetamines for myself. Now, the last year or so, I smoked a lot of pot. I don't want to downplay that, because pot is a problem, I believe, for people who are addicted. I think there are probably people who are not addicted who can smoke a little pot and doesn't have much of a, other than a little happy time, doesn't have much of an effect on them. But not addicts. Addicts, if you're an addict, pot is the gateway to something heavier, because it takes all the gateways down. Why not?
Right.
Already high. Yeah. Once you're high, you're high.
Yeah, you got a really, really good point there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
so you're using amphetamines mostly and smoking marijuana.
Last 2 years, however, I started smoking black tar heroin, black tar opium, and I was getting more and more strung out on that, and that has a life of its own. Believe me, death of its own, life of its own.
So you said that the black tar heroin use, it went to another level.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It took me to a level of when I would use that, I would be a lot more out of it than I was on other kinds of drugs. I was starting I guess this was the going away phase of getting out of it. Life had become a burden. It was really unpleasant, a lot of unpleasantness, most of which I was drawing upon myself. I mean, it wasn't really the world that was doing it, it was me. I was in control of my life, all right? And I made a mess of it. For a couple of years there, I was just spiraling downward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And
So,
when I used, I couldn't notice it. You feel nothing when you smoke that stuff. You literally feel nothing.
yeah, it just becomes
Just
like a
aware.
haze
You're
of
just
everything.
aware that you exist.
Yeah.
That's it. I went kind of basically nuts. I just like had a complete chemical psychotic break. I I remember running from my house, jumping in my car, and out driving at high speeds on the road. Just I live way out in the country, so you could do that, thank God. But I'm out in the country driving around, aimlessly, and I must have been out for hours. And I woke up 3 days later in a detox. I had driven my car up to we had one rehabilitation place right around here, and I drove my place up into their front yard, my car, and they say, I don't remember, they say I crawled through the front door, the electric eye door, on my hands and knees and told the security guard that I was dying. And they called somebody out of the treatment center and came over and said, he's not dying, he's drunk and high. They put me in detox. And evidently I signed papers, I don't remember, but they treated me for 3 days before I woke up.
Wow.
I did not come to, I might have been awake, but I did not come to. Came home, immediately got tied into a 12-step recovery.
So you're in there almost 50 days, and you immediately leave. You immediately go to a 12-step program as soon as you get out of there.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so talk to me about like the first year. Was it pretty easy for you? Was it challenging?
For me personally, my own story, it was ideal. I think ideal would be I literally did my first year, I got kind of bullshitted into taking people to meetings. I was easygoing and wanted to please people. And my sponsor encouraged me to take people to meetings. So I ended up my plan was to go to 2 meetings a week. I ended up going to at least 7, sometimes 8 meetings a week.
Wow.
And I did that for about 2 years.
Wow.
2 years, I just took people to meetings. And if you're taking people to meetings, guess what?
You're going to the
You're going to
meeting.
meetings. So, I did that, and it was a little service work, and my sponsor was real big on doing service. So, and he got me into working steps. So recovery, it felt pretty easy. Felt pretty easy.
Sometimes when you live a life of just so much chaos and for so long, then
I think you just hit on some of it.
yeah.
I think the absence of chaos just allowed creation to happen. And I got to recreate myself. I still I don't do it every single day. I'm not going to lie. But almost every single day, when I get up in the morning, I do a meditation. And I have like a prayer life. It's odd because my beliefs are not very substantial. I have beliefs, but they're more a mystery than anything else. But I sit and I'll look at a picture of my old teacher. I had a wonderful, wonderful teacher from India. I look at his picture and my sponsor who's gone. I look at their pictures and I'll say, good morning, and I chat. And I say, please guide me today to do what I need to do that's right. And then I step away and let what I believe is their guidance. I believe through them I'm getting guidance of some sort. I know it's weird. But the truth of it is that I believe that I'm guided to do the right thing. And sometimes the right thing is to say no. Sometimes the right thing is to say not today.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to do that.
It's a hard lesson.
Especially when
it's
you were
hard.
driving people to meetings every day for 2 years.
Right.
I mean, that kind of sets up a pattern, that okay pattern.
The yes, yes,
please love
yes,
me.
right.
Please love me, I'll take you to a meeting.
Right. So I'm dying to know. So how is your relationship with your husband now?
Oh, it's very good. Very good. I adore him. He's an absolute gem. I would have never put up with me all those years. Never. Not like he does. And right now, I've had a reoccurrence of cancer. I have lung cancer now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I'm getting some treatment for it. I've had a few months here of not feeling well. And I can't do much of anything because my energy levels have fallen off so badly. And, he just takes care of me. He just takes care of me. Mikey, get me a water. Mikey, do this. Mikey, do that. And he just does it, And I feel so guilty sometimes, but he loves doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves you. He's taking care of you.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. We raised a son for 10 years. We managed to inherit him kind of from a treatment center.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We had him for 10 years, put him through school. He grew up. He was 17 when we got him. We had him 10 years. And unfortunately, on his way to work, it's now 26 years ago, on his way to work one night, he got hit head on by a drunk driver that he lived 3 hours. And we lost him. Yeah. But we're very proud to have had him in our lives. Yeah.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, we adjust.
So you both obviously stayed sober through that, though.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. You don't have to relapse. You don't. Mm-hmm. There are other ways to deal with things.
Right.
Talk to people. Talk to people. Realize how much you care, not just for the person who's just gone, but for the people around you.
Right. And what was his name?
Joey.
Joey. It's a good name.
He was our boy.
Yeah.
He was our boy. Fit right in our family. He fit right in the family. Close my eyes, I see him.
I love that. For somebody that's out there struggling, do you have any words of hope that you could share?
Well, what I would say is don't give up. Well, don't give up as in don't give up trying to do what's best for you. Don't give up trying to. This kind of recovery is possible for anyone. No one. You don't have to believe in a particular kind of higher power per se. Mm-hmm. All right? You just need something other than you that's beneficial and something good. Don't give up. Mm-hmm. Don't give up. 10 relapses, 20 relapses. Don't give up. I've been fortunate. I never relapsed. I stayed from the day I went into detox. I've been clean since. I'm fortunate. I'm one of, there's a percentage of people that do that. Mm-hmm. And then there's a percentage of people that relapse 2 or 3 times or once. Then there's a percentage of people that relapse 10 times. There's a percentage of people who relapse 20 times. And every now and then, somebody makes it out of that group. You could be the one. You could be the one just as much as I'm the one that made it from the beginning. You can be the one that can go around and say, I relapsed 20 times and I've been clean for 40 years.
Yep.
Yep. That can happen. Don't give up.
It only takes that one time.
Yeah.
Really. Well, Dharl, again, thank you for
You're
everything.
So pleasant.
Thank you.
You're so pleasant. You're nice.
So are you. All right. Well, we really, really appreciate it. I know you've already helped a lot of people, but putting your story out there could help just one more, and that's what we're trying to do. So
anything that it can help.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dharl.
Yes.